Well, hello. I hope you had a good day doing whatever you were doing yesterday. Thanksgiving things, hanging out at home. I was doing a little bit of both. Today, we're going to test out some new ways of painting. I have everything set up. I also got coffee. So if you want a beverage or snack, we're going to be here. We're going to be here for a minute. I think we're going to be probably an hour and a half, but my plan, I would really like to fully test out a swatch of this painting, and I'll show you what I mean. But yeah, hi. If you're new to Patreon or doing the live stream, you just, we're just hanging out. You can join along. Hopefully you'll get to kind of meet some new people. The cool thing about doing these live streams is you get to have like maybe more of a conversation with me, but also with each other using the chat. So please feel free to use the chat. That's how I get to talk to you and hear from you. And any questions you have, you're all set up right here. Hi, Cushy. Am I saying your name right? I think I am. But hi, nice to see you. Yeah, so we're going to be doing, today's Lunch Club Live. I've been showing you in my, whatchamacallit, kind of like Patreon stories, lens, I think is what they call it. I'm going to tilt you down just so you can see. Let's bring it in. So I've got this big old tracing paper that I've been using. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way so you can actually see it. Got some scrap paper we'll use. And I have a color palette that I hammered out over the last couple of days. Let me know if you need me to change the lighting, because I can. Let's see, that one darker. I have it on manual focus so that it doesn't do that like box frame autofocus thing around my face. But this is tracing paper. I like the toned one because then I can see it. And I've been working on this slowly. I really love, I shared Elvis Road with you all, and some of these like really intricate kind of like scenes where there's many things going on and they're surreal. And I finished 4 giant client projects over the last couple of weeks. And I just decided I'm not going to take any more on till the new year. And even then, only if it's super cool, because I want to work on painting. So I have like a blue heron. There's these tide pools. It's been like king tides here in California. So really high tides and then really low tides where the ocean kind of sucks out way past where you can normally go. And then these like pools, tide pools with like all sorts of like kelp and sea creatures all are hanging out, which is awesome. And it's kind of like you get to see into this like other world that you don't get to see in, which is like definitely very much in line with the things I'm always thinking about time and space and tapping into new spaces. And then I have these like giant people, which I'm really excited about. And so today I thought, here's the deal. I'm not done totally with the drawing. I'll probably work on it this evening and hopefully finish it this evening. But I am done with a lot of these things. Like I'm probably not going to make any huge changes. So my conundrum that I'm kind of hitting is that I'm not sure how to exactly use this transfer paper and then transfer it to my watercolor paper. So yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, I worked on this, which is just like little grabs of little things throughout here. And I used Sorel transfer paper, which is a lot of like tattoo artists use Sorel. Krista Perry, who is on Instagram and a Lunch Club bud, turned me on to this. She likes it in red for when she's using gouache. But since I'm thinking I'm going to be mainly using watercolor and then mixing gouache with watercolor, there will be transparent areas. I don't necessarily think I want red. So I got yellow. And I tried it on this one, and you can see a little bit of yellow like in this top area right here. And you can see a little bit of yellow like kind of poking through on the fish, in the cheeks on the person, but I'm okay with it. Like I feel actually pretty good about it. I like that it's so light that you would really have to be looking close. I also like that it feels a little different than graphite. So I have the colors I think I'm going to be doing, which I'm really digging this like kind of like mossy green. Hi, Claudia. What's up? I'm so excited to be hanging out with you. I had like some, it wouldn't be, just 2020 without a little bit of drama. And for some reason, one of my USB ports wasn't working properly. But I figured it out. I was like scrambling up until now. Now I'm so excited. We're just chilling. But I'm really into this like what color would you say? Like a pear green. Like pear green, really into it with like these bright oranges. And I'll kind of show you my palette. We were talking about new colors I was going to be using. And I am using the permanent yellow light. I've got Trudy Hairs in my palette. It's classic. And then this is Rose Doré. That's how you say it, Rose Doré Madder Lake. Let me see if I can grab the tube actually so you can see it. I go back and forth between this color and Scarlet. Yeah, this is an old Sennelier tube, but let's see if I can bring it back. There we go. Rose Doré, and it's like kind of like a scarlet, but maybe a little bit more bright. Hi, Angelica. Good morning. I'm just kind of setting the stage for what work I've been doing a little bit behind the scenes, catching you all up so that we can do these test paintings together. This is the color palette I'm working with. Hi, Kelly. The one thing I will be adding to that is the magenta color that you see in this face. So I'm going to take a second to remix these colors, add this magenta, and then we're going to use Sorel transfer paper to transfer this person onto this sheet of paper. Wait for it. This sheet of paper, and then do like a small study of part of the painting just to make sure the colors are working. Hi, Yami. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Man, what a week. Did anyone like make a big meal yesterday or just hang out at home? Everyone's, doing what they can. I Zoomed with my family, which was a lot of fun. It was fun with my sister. It was weird with like my extended family. I'm going to put shreds down. Go ahead, babe. But so, just we cooked everything, but it was just the two of us. So now we have so much leftovers. It's ridiculous. All right. Trudy. So dramatic. So let's do some color studies. I'll bring you in closer so we can do them together. Hung out at home. Partner, let's see. Claudia's partner made us a very yummy turkey. There's so much left over. I just started the like pot where you make the bone broth. I just started that before we did this because I was like, I'm honestly like I need to do something because this is way too much food. Oh, this is the other thing I wanted to show you was the greens that I've been working on. I'm really loving these ultramarine greens a lot, especially when thinking about like underworld type spaces. So like this mossy green feels very kelpy. Same with this. So these are Prussian and ultramarine, and I got rid of my manganese nova, and I threw ultramarine in there. So I have ultramarine, Prussian, and Payne's Gray. But we'll swatch it out. We'll talk about it. So I'm just going to paint on top of this tracing paper. That's the other thing about this tracing paper is that it's junky. So it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, who cares if it gets gross and weird? There we go. I think. Let me know if at any point the focus isn't quite what it should be, and I will change it. So I'm first going to show you what colors I have on my palette. I have Chinese white and whatchamacallit, Joan Brilliant, which is maybe a little bit redundant, but this paint, the Chinese white, soaks up all these colors. So it's looking warmer than it normally is. But I like them both, and I haven't decided which one I like the best. I've always used Chinese white, and then to bring in the Joan, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure. Let's see. Yeah. Look at this one. Can you see that? Joan Brilliant. Number 1. Number 2 is like peachier, but it has some opacity to it. It's a great mixing color, and it's warmer, right, than like a Chinese white is, which is like a chalk white, basically. Do that. Dun, dun, dun. And then I have burnt umber, which I always have burnt umber in my palette, and I just haven't been using it as much. Oh, that's so pretty. Because I've been using burnt sienna, which is this one, and then mixing it with like a green or whatever like smudgy little thing I have on my palette. This is watercolor, Claudia. So I've been like trying all sorts of different ways to get myself excited about painting again. And so the thing that I have come to is that I'm really liking doing watercolor and then mixing gouache in using white gouache. So that's what I did on those red kind of like alien landscapes. And I'm just kind of going with it right now. I have my gouache out. I never put it away. So, as I work on the painting, maybe I'll start to incorporate it, but I have a feeling I'm going to do more of like a watercolor and then with gouache, or like build with it. This is raw sienna, which I really like a lot for a yellow. Hey, dude. This is quinacridone gold, which is another one I really like. These can feel a little similar, but the quinacridone gold is so like punchy. Let's see if you can see it. You see it? So this is the quinacridone gold, and then this is the raw sienna. The raw sienna doesn't quite get as like dark, and it is like a little bit kind of like, let's see if I can lighten this. There we go. A little bit like opaque. It has a little bit of opacity to it. So, and the quinacridone gold is like a really powerful like synthetic pigment. So I feel like it goes a lot further for mixing. And then this is permanent yellow. And here's the Rose Doré. Good job, Lindsay. I put like the put the Chinese white right next to it. Well, that's the Rose Doré. We got like a very like 70s vibe color palette happening. And then quinacridone magenta, which is different than like a regular magenta. I think it has like kind of like the quinacridone gold. It's a little punchier. It's a little bit more vibrant. Yeah, there you go. And then ultramarine. And I'm really into this whole setup. So I've been kind of like, I always use the 12 color palette from Case for Making as a means of like forcing me to limit my palette, especially when it comes to watercolor. And so when I want a new color, I have to swap something out, and it forces me to like really be considerate about what colors I use and why. So we have our ultramarine, Prussian blue, and then Payne's gray. And the reason I took out the cerulean or the manganese was because it almost felt like a repeat of the Prussian, which we talked a little bit about on Lunch Club this week. But I just felt like I want to have like a different subset of colors that come out when I'm doing my mixing. And so doing the ultramarine is helpful. All right, so I'm going to mix my new palette, or the color palette I want. So this one that we were talking about before, but I'm going to mix it with, I'm also going to incorporate that magenta color. So let's see if we can do. I'm excited to use the Sorel transfer paper with you because it's pretty neat. And I typically have always drawn directly onto my paper. That's always been what I do. Oh, thanks, Anna. Which new color? Oh, the new color palette. Thank you. Me too. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really great. So I typically draw directly onto my paper, but I have been in a funk, and one of the things that we've been talking about as a crew in the weekly prompts and stuff is what are the ways that we can kind of like make space for inspiration to take place. And I think for me, it wasn't necessarily like, I think the ultimate thing that I do, and I think a lot of people do, is that we just throw out everything we've ever done. My painting teacher used to call it throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which I kind of hate that phrase, but it's effective, right? Like, it's like, why would you get rid of everything you've learned in order to somehow like be inspired? So I've been trying to think of like, how can I switch things up for myself without necessarily feeling like I have to just totally disregard everything I've taught myself. And one of the things has been doing like small tweaks to my, let me grab Francis's food. So he's going to keep crying. But one of the things I keep asking myself is, what are the small changes I can make to what I already do? Like, how can I like make small material changes to the things that I have in order to get me excited, make it feel fresh, and also force me to think a little bit differently about how I work. And one of the things that I've been trying is the tracing paper. Another one of the things that I'm excited about, hasn't arrived yet, is some new brushes. You all know that I have used like the same brushes for like 4 or 5 years. So getting some new brushes is going to be really great. And just like kind of like being intentional about creating a space where I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm not necessarily forcing myself to start totally fresh. It's felt really good. It's a little dark. This purple is not quite right, so I'm going to try it again. Let me turn down the temp on my bone broth. Jesus. It's like doing the thing where it sizzles a bunch. Burn the house down. Let's see. I think it's maybe because I started with the red instead of magenta. So let's try with the magenta. That might be it. That might be it. Yeah, that's it. Anyone doing anything fun this weekend? It's really like bright and beautiful out here, and so I've been thinking that I want to go for a hike, but it gets really crowded in the Bay Area at those places when it's like this. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll go early morning on like Sunday. The salmon color on the end is using a little bit of the rose doré and then a little bit of the Chinese white. And there might have been a tiny bit of yellow left, like permanent yellow, but not a lot, like very little. Let's see. So these greens are cool. Like I really like these like ultramarine greens. So I'm going to try and mix them up right now. So these are all mixed colors that I'm using from these pure colors that I have in my palette. I hope that is making sense. Which is such a great way to like spend time with your palette, is like coming up with things to color match and like challenging yourself to like try and match colors you like using your palette. Because I think a lot of times it's easy to think we have to just get the tube color or find that color to match it. But what happens if we challenge ourselves to try and like match it with our paints? Because I think that the cool thing about paint is that if the more time you spend with it to see if you can match colors, the more like you realize that you actually can, right? And that it becomes intuitive for you. You can look at a color and be like, oh, that I would use this and this to make that. I did get to, speaking of the Zooming that we did last night, I did get to hang out with my niece for a little bit. I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews, and my one niece, my oldest niece, is in her last year in college, which is wild to me because I think I was 12 when she was born. And so it was really good to see her, and I just feel like that's such an odd age, and I remember being in college and just, you don't have time for your family necessarily. Not saying she doesn't, but you know, we're pretty far apart in age. And so it was good to see her. And I'm hoping we get to like I think she's going to come here and we're going to do like a walk on the beach and like, you know, socially distant hang, which I think will be so cool. Just nice to spend some time even virtually. It's been foggy here in the Willamette Valley, which is perfect for fall strolls. Oh, yeah. My partner and I have been enjoying our slow mornings, just making coffee and talking instead of rushing to work. Oh, that's the best, Anna. I love that. That's so nice. I love like brisk, chilly mornings. My hands have been numb on my walks just last week, which is so funny. So I feel like I'm getting most of the greens, but I'm going to try and make this like really punchy yellow. So it's not just, I remember not just using the permanent yellow. It was like almost like an orangey yellow. So I'm going to try that. And when I have these like big mixing palettes, there's like little bits of dried up paint left over. So I can just grab like a tiny bit of red. Yeah, that looks good. So these are my colors for the most part. And, you know, this is not to say that I won't be using like a gradation of some of these. So like tinting them down, maybe getting a little more opaque or saturated with either one. But just like a good starting place, you know? Oh yeah, Patty. So this pear green is, so I recently switched to this permanent yellow, which let me see, I think it's permanent yellow light, which I'd never used before. Yeah, permanent yellow light from Holbein. And I just found that I could get a totally different set of greens than I normally get, which I was excited about. Another like small way for me to like switch up my materials or try something new, you know, is sometimes switching out a color or trying a different color palette. And for me, color is always super intuition. Like I use my intuition for it. I almost said intuitional. But so I'm trying to be kind of like what we talk about in Yellow Brick Road. Like I'm trying to be really intentional with it and set guidelines for myself so that I can stick within them and like really kind of like try to stick within this color palette that I'm excited about. All right, so this is my little test sheet that I had done a couple of days ago. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of this Sorel paper. I'm going to show you how I trace a part of this large painting, and then we're going to transfer it, like how I trace it, and it automatically transfers onto the new sheet of paper. So I'm going to move you back. Let's see. I'll move you back. I'm going to cut up this transfer paper. To bring it up a little bit. So this transfer paper, it's like a chalk on the underside. So normal, tracing paper like this, I would flip this whole thing over and then trace it, and that graphite would get transferred, which is what we do in some of my classes. It's really satisfying, super fun. But this, let me grab the old sheet that I used for my little test studies. And let's see if you can see it. So this one, what it does is with the yellow side down on the paper, when you draw, it actually leaves these little yellow lines. Can you see those spots? Those are actually see-through. There's no chalk there. So those lines transfer the little yellow bits. And I just have been using this over and over again because it's so like microscopic. And I feel like it's expensive. So this roll is like $15. So you want to try and make it work for as long as you can. I wonder if I can like buy a bulk somewhere. If anyone knows anything about wax-free transfer paper, let me know. But so we're going to cut out a sheet. I want to make sure it measures the size of this person. Cool. And I'll use it for this one, but I'll probably use it multiple times for other tests in the future. So I'll just keep them taped to a certain area of my desk, or like my wall, so that I can snag it, right? So let's see. I want to do it so you can see. I'm going to do, just want to make sure this fits. I cut my nails, and so now I can't grab anything. I think this will fit. Is that not right? What about this one? Yeah, this is the one, I think. So I'm actually going to cut this down. Does the chalk easily disappear while painting? So it does. Let's see. I was kind of showing earlier, you can see a little bit of like the yellow showing through in parts, like you can see it here. It doesn't go all the way away, but I'm kind of okay with it. It looks little, look, you can see it a little bit better there. You can also see it in the cheeks a little bit. It almost feels like a part of the painting. It doesn't necessarily feel like how graphite feels. So it doesn't disappear totally, but it is chalk, so it doesn't like, it's not like really harsh. It might be harsher if you got like the blue or the red, depending on what color scheme you use. But we'll see. That's why we're going to try it out on this one to see if it's something that really bugs me or if I'm into it. Because this is all like, you know, this is different for me. Now the trick is taping this down onto the paper so that it doesn't slide around, right? I'm going to put, I'm going to put this sheet underneath. I want to get the hand in, so I'm probably going to do it at an angle. Cool. I think that's good. And I'm going to tape this so it doesn't slide around a bunch either. All right. So now I'm just using a regular old pencil, nothing crazy. I'm going to take a coffee break for a second. Has anyone used this before? I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And I was thinking that it would be really like chalky, so like touching it would transfer it or something. That doesn't seem to be the case. It's actually pretty, you know, it almost feels you have to be pressing down pretty hard. I love that it doesn't like go on backwards. It's all just kind of direct, which is awesome. That's the one thing about tracing paper that annoys me. It almost seems like the correction tape stuff you use in an office. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how it came about. I have to do more research because I can only find it in like some pretty small sizes. So I need to kind of like look into if I could get it in bigger sizes, because I would like it in big sizes, like big. I got a couple of sheets of Arches 29 by 40 that I'm going to start working on in the next week. So I'm going to start the drawings for, but I wanted to start this one first, just to kind of hone in on what my process is going to start to be like. I don't have to have it all hammered out, but it's nice to give myself space to work through it a little bit. But we've talked about this a bunch. Having multiple paintings going on at once is really helpful. Awesome. I'm really into this cowboy boot. I'm really into it. I said it before, but definitely live vicariously through my paintings sometimes in clothing choices. I'm more of a pants and a t-shirt type of person, so it's fun to get wild. Oh, and I'm making the lunch club badges for everyone because we hit 50 on Patreon. So I'll be mailing those out probably in a few weeks, depending on how quickly Outlet can work. They'll be making them for me. That'll be fun. Oh, my hand's cranking up a little bit. Yeah, and the people who came over from my initial lunch club subscription, it's taken me a minute, but those are going out as well. Got some treats for everyone. Like deciding not to take client work on for the rest of the year and, see how I feel in the new year is, I feel like liberated. I can't even tell you. I feel like I gave myself the biggest gift by just being like, you know what? I am going to only do that if it's something I'm super stoked on. And I'm just going to work on my paintings. It feels really scary, but with teaching now being something that I'm able to do full time and kind of set the parameters for, and people seem to be excited about it, that can help support my painting. I think I was juggling too much. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Yami. I found you through Outlet. Such a cool organization. I love Kate Bingham and Burt. She's amazing. Patty says people felt that freedom yesterday by not having to have a big group of people over. So true. I know I had this thought to myself yesterday, which was, not very nice, but I was like, man, how am I going to go back to just keeping it real mellow? It was so nice to not be like stressed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the other thing I'm wrestling with is I don't think I'm going to put color down first. I do that a lot. Patty says, I'd say we don't go back. Yeah, low stress holidays are more enjoyable. That's for me on that. I agree. I agree 100%. But what I was saying is I've been kind of like wrestling with the idea, do I put a colored background down? Because that's normally what I do, but I think I'm going to try not doing that so that the colors can be extra vibrant. But we'll see. I'm going to try it without. I do love that when I put a color down all across the whole thing, it just feels so unified. Like all of the colors feel really unified. Everything feels like it's all coming from the same world. Let's see, I'm gonna lift this up. Let's see it a little bit better. Okay. Oh, what movie did we watch last night? That Daniel Levy one. If you guys are looking for a silly tearjerker holiday rom-com vibe. What's it called? Happiest Season, I think. With what's her name from Twilight. It is really good. Like a different type of conversation. It was great. Dave and I put that on after we Zoomed with everyone, and we're both crying on the couch. It was a good time. We're so close. Oh. Sorry about that. Camera fell asleep. I don't know how to stop that. I figured out the autofocus. Can't figure out the sleeping thing. So interesting how doing these types of, like this way of engaging and working as a creative person, I'm suddenly like a audio visual technician, which I'm not saying I'm not into it, but It's just so interesting. I'm back. Thanks, Angelica. Sorry about that. Okay, so I think that is all of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back. I'm not going to move it. I'm going to lift this up. And because it's so bright, it might be a little hard to see, but you can see the yellow line work. Awesome. I think I got I got everything down. Cool. So things shifted a little bit over here next to the hands. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that. So things shifted a little bit, but I think when I do this on a large scale, which I think I will do it this way, I will just tape everything. Everything will be taped. So I think you would have liked the color palette that showed up when you're I know. It comes up for me, the rainbow. It's so cool. Yeah, if anyone has any advice on how to stop that from happening, I would just be so stoked. I'm going to move everything this way because the sun is coming in. We're going to shift a little bit. Trying to type with one hand. Yeah. Yep, camera fell asleep. I thought that was a technical term, Angelica. You had me fooled. All right. So let's see what we can do here. I want to make sure you can see it all. That's a little bit better. And then I'm going to check that focus. There we go. All right. You can see the line work. That's great. I was a little worried that you wouldn't be able to. Awesome that you can. So now you can see on this how the lines that I drew, those are the lines that are missing, right? I mean, it is really neat, and I think this could be a really great resource depending on how you like to work. For me, I really work fast, and I find myself rushing through the underdrawing part, or just stopping halfway and moving into the painting part, whether or not I'm finished, because I'm done. I'm ready to get to the fun part. And so doing the tracing paper and then using this transfer paper, it's forcing me to slow down and be intentional, which is really nice. Angelica says, thanks for showing us how to use this transfer paper. I have some from Eric when he was in art school and I didn't know how to use it. And I couldn't have been bothered to YouTube it. I get that. Sometimes I'm just if I don't know, I don't know. And I'm fine with it. All right, I'm going to put out, this is what's really helpful to me is when I do test studies and they're colors I like and combos I'm into, it's helpful for me to surround myself with those things. So to keep them where I can see them, right? And remind myself what I like, which we've talked about a bunch, but it's nice to remember, keep in mind, because otherwise I at least start to feel a little bit lost. All right, so I'm going to start. What do I want to start with? I kind of want to start with the shirt because that's the biggest area. I want the little smiley faces to be big. I'm really into, I got these eco tampons. We're really getting it in there. And inspiration get it from anywhere. I got these eco tampons and they're this really beautiful blue color, kind of like the blue that we're working with on here. And then has this really punchy yellow flowers, or white and yellow flowers. I can't remember what they're called, but I'm sure you've used them. But I really like that color combo. So I'm going to do blue, I think, for the shirt, and then do yellow smiley faces. Do I want that? blue. Shoot. Well, the cool thing is this is a test, right? Maybe what I'll do is test this first. Just gathering bits. I remember using a light table to transfer, and I've also used a sheet of graphite paper. Yeah, that's the other thing I've considered doing, and I do have a little light table. The only thing is sometimes I can only do it at night because it's so bright in here. It almost doesn't transfer right. So that would be the other option. And I might consider doing that, especially for the larger sheets because the Sorel paper is so expensive. I am going to do blue, and we're just going to go with it and see how it feels. I'm going to mix that up. But I have a little one. Is it nearby? Oh, it's under some stuff. But I have like it's maybe like 9 by 12. And I could just like move it underneath, and tape the initial drawing to the back of the watercolor paper. So that would definitely be another option. But then you have that graphite under. So it just depends. The cool thing about this chalk is that it does show through. That could be a negative thing, or if you just like embrace that that's part of it, is then I can still see my underdrawing even as I'm painting. So I can still see those smiley faces. They're not just like gone, like all that detail work I spent time on, right? I would like to build a light table, like a really large light table. I think that would be kind of neat. I think I drew this on the wrong side of the paper, but it's fine. It's just a test. I got a pack of, I'm still going through the pack of Saunders paper, and it's still really hard for me to tell what side I'm painting on. This side. This is Adventure Day weather. It's so beautiful. Maybe catch some tide pools. Oh, Claudia says, I always wanted a light table like the one my college had in the photo lab. Yeah, we had one in our photo lab too. So cool. I feel like building one wouldn't be hard. It would just be neat if like half of this table was like a light surface that I didn't have to like set up or take down, that I could actually just like sit down and start working on. I think that would be really helpful. I just ordered a track saw, so I'm hoping to do some building. Maybe that'll be one of my projects. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so while that is drying, I'm going to do this little tide pool area. I would like for it to be a little bit of a color fade. So we could maybe start from one end. And from the other. It's like purple to orange, but I'm gonna have to drop color in because this isn't saturated enough. There we go. Awesome. This is going to be wet for a while, but that's okay because it's not really touching any of the arms, and we're going to be working on that for a hot minute. I'm probably going to have to, it's going to take me a little bit to work through this, but that's not a bad thing. Patty says, I got to the part in Big Magic about finishing things, and it made me want to finish about a bunch of things I've started. That's the best. I thought that was a really cool part, and I love thinking about, like, we actually have a lot of things that we could finish, and what does it mean to like finish things? I talk a lot about following through on promises we make ourselves. One of the things that I did recently was do that studio sale where I sold like a bunch of old paintings and stuff, and there were so many more than what I listed, but I just, some of them just, it feels like I just am not super comfortable selling them. But I did like go through and like tidy up some of the paintings and like finish some of the washes and like kind of adjust them so that I could sell them, and that when people buy them, they feel like completed paintings. And that was like a interesting feeling to do that. I like that, Patty. I think you probably have like a bunch of things that you could finish up. That actually wouldn't take you a ton of time, right? And I'm going to treat each side of this shirt as separate. Or, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to. Tally said the sweep my space made me find a bunch of half finished things. Doesn't it? I feel like when I do that, when I tidy my space up or I just like clean out my flat files, I think I get confronted by two things, which is number one, I've made so much more work than I give myself credit for, right? Like I'm always like, oh, I'm not like just doing nothing over here. I'm like able to give myself like a little bit of a pat on the back, which is really nice. And then the other thing I notice is like, oh, like I kind of like abandoned some of this stuff without even realizing I was doing that. So I'm gonna wait to do that side. I'm gonna do this little boot next. Can you see that? I think you can. Do pink for the boot. Right. The old ideas that I thought were cool and then got sidetracked on something else. It happens all the time. It happens to the best of us, Patty. You're not alone. And thanks, Anna. I like the boot too. I like um I like giving these people some like fun style. So I'm gonna move those out of the way. Now I'm gonna do the head base. So I do like doing this magenta color for the one, and maybe I'll do more of like a orangey peachy color for this one. Let's see, mix it up somewhere else. How did the book club discussion go? Did you decide on the next book? Yeah, so we're gonna do the War of Art. Um, and I posted the recording, Angelica, in the Patreon. So if you want to listen to it or you have time, you could even just like probably listen in the background to the discussion. While seeing our faces is awesome. You probably don't have to, but it was a great discussion. It was really fun, and I'm so excited for more of them because I think it's going to be really nice to have that to look forward to. For me, it was really cool, selfishly, to just be able to hang out with everyone, right? Like I often feel like I'm in this space of performance that is 100% I'm happy to do and love doing. Let's not get it twisted, and I like it, but I do feel like it's nice to like get to hang out with you all and like hear your thoughts on things. Um, it was great because of that. And everyone was so like open and like vulnerable about their own experiences and how it related to like some of the things Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about, or maybe how it didn't relate. And it just made for like a really rich conversation. Yeah, it's nice to see the faces. Exactly. I feel like we've all been hanging out, since since COVID hit through lunch club or whatever, and it's so cool to like get to just like chat with everyone. It's really special. And definitely like for me makes me be more excited to like come up with fun prompts and things for everyone to do together, because it feels, not that it doesn't feel real, but it feels like, oh, I know I get to know everyone a little bit. Yeah, Candace was there. Candace, it was awesome. It was such a great space to share and chat about the various aspects of creative practice. Yeah, it was cool. I'm so glad it felt like a safe space, Candace. That's really important to me, and something and I'm always open to hearing how it can feel more that way. Or if it's not feeling that way, like please always feel like you can talk to me about that, because I want everyone to feel like they can share um, their opinions without, obviously, I don't want anyone to like feel like they can't be open. I don't think everyone sometimes wants to share, and that's okay too. But if you do, I want you to feel safe and like you can. Whew. All right. Yeah, one more hand to go. Patty says, I've got some cool color mixes going on over here. Thanks for the inspiration. Of course. I love it when you all share those with me too. So if you feel like it, Patty, definitely like show pictures in the Discord of what you made during our hangout, because I feel like that's so fun for me. Because I don't get to see. And this is when I can like hold these up and start to think about like how these colors are interacting. Claudia says, loved it. It was great to hear people share their feelings and thoughts. LOL, knowing that I wasn't alone in some of my thoughts and feelings. Not at all. Not at all. And like, even if, I feel like even if other people maybe hadn't thought what you thought, it's like really great to be like, oh, like I never thought of it that way. Or I don't know. It's nice to have multiple opinions happening rather than just like almost like a blanket of assuming we all have the same thoughts. It's cool. Even if you're worried you have a different opinion. I think that's kind of the best part, is maybe you have a different opinion. I would love to hear it. Kelly says, I'm working on my Dr. Seuss painting. Yes, I can't wait to see it. We talked about that during book club. And it doesn't feel like Friday. I do have like some work to do, and I'm like, oh, it feels like Saturday for sure. Thanks, Candace. Candace likes the hair. I love these moments, the overlap moments. So like building them in is really fun. This is your 4th Friday in a row. Wait. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Are you at work, Patty? I know you were saying that you typically join from work. Let's see. Oh, so nice. Patty hasn't worked since Tuesday. Nice to have a little break. It often feels like when you work from home, or, I think with COVID, everything kind of runs into each other. So it's nice to just get a moment, right? Let's see. Tickle in my throat. All right, well, that's starting to come together a little bit. What is this red brush made with? It seems like it holds the perfect amount of water. Yeah, this is a synthetic sable brush. I'm so excited to brushes, and we'll definitely do a little A/B together on the next live. I'm hoping they'll be here by then. But the new brushes I'm getting are natural fibers, which you know, we can have a whole conversation about that. I typically get synthetic sable, which mimics horsehair, but it does do a really good job of like bouncing back with its shape. And then it holds a decent amount of water. It can be a little too much water for me sometimes, but it does a pretty good job. I prefer to use like little teeny ones most of the time. But yeah, synthetic sable I think is best bet. So let's see. I want to do a little bit brighter of an orange on this side, so I'm going to try to do that. Almost like a little miniature sunset. Okay. I'm going to start doing these happy faces or smiley faces just to catch a vibe. I might have set myself up to not be able to get the yellow to show through, but like I said, this is the only way we can know if it'll work is by trying. It's not bad. I might want to get it more saturated. Let's try a different one. It's a pretty transparent paint. Some watercolors, just depending on the pigment, can be more opaque. I could also do more layers, but I'm feeling like it's okay. Let's look at that together. You see those two? I might, did I bring my, okay, next thing we'll try is with a little bit of white. So this is the Chinese white, which is like a really great mixing white. It's not opaque, but it might help it to stand out. So we'll try that. Just see how it dries. Watercolor is always more saturated when it's wet. Then the last resort we can do is with like some gouache. I kind of prefer to save the gouache moments for later, but I am liking these with the chalk white. The light is just wildly out of control. Let's see if I can untie these. That's a little bit better. It's not great. Yeah, maybe like maybe let's try it with the Joan. Let's see, instead of the, that can't be how it's pronounced. I'm just making that up. Oh, that's a little bit warmer of a yellow. That could be kind of nice. Okay, well, while that dries, we're going to do some details in the face. My sniffles are out of control. I'm really sorry. I've been, like, my allergies have been so crazy. I've been, like, waking up with my eyes swollen shut in the mornings, which I haven't had that really happen since I was, like, a little kid. So it makes me feel a little bit weird, like crazy. Like I'm losing it. Here are those cheeks. Do you think there's still stuff in the air from the fires, or that's mostly gone? I think it's mostly gone. I just think there's different things in bloom right now that maybe I've developed an allergy to that I didn't used to be allergic to. Or perhaps, I wouldn't be surprised if because of the fires, there's certain things that are in bloom. Um, they're a little bit stronger than they normally are. You know what I mean? Da, da, da. Looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit of this darker pink. Awesome. Yeah, like a new growth or something for sure, Kelly. I think that may be what it is. Well, so let's do a little recap because I feel like it's going to take me a little bit to troubleshoot what I want for the shirt. And I might do that, but I'm gonna bring you back. Let's not zoom in. Cool. All right, so what did we do? We went over a color palette, which I'm pretty into. I think, oh, you know what's so funny is I said I was going to incorporate this magenta into the palette, and I totally didn't. But I'm pretty into it. I like the lavender. I love this like leaf green. I think this is too bright. Let's bring it in. There we go. Cool. That might be a little easier to see. I like this leaf green. There we go. But I think I'm a little confused about these blues and greens. They're not quite like what I'm wanting them to be. So I'm going to have to sit with that a little bit. Maybe as I do the tide pools, it'll become clearer what I want them to be. I think I need a little bit more like kind of going off of this as like a guide, maybe some more like mossy, like kelpy colors. We used this. Maybe I'm probably going to use this for this painting. I'm going to use this Sorel transfer paper for the full thing and just see how it feels. And then next time around, maybe we'll try the light table, or I'll see if I can, like what it might take for me to build one. But I'll definitely try out my little light pad for the next one, especially if I do a large painting. And we could do that together if that's something you're interested in trying together. And then I'm going to keep going on this, and I'll post what this ends up being like in the Patreon feed so you can see it. So I'll actually do like an in-feed summary of what we worked on and what I think about it. So far, I'm pretty into it, especially when I start to look at it like next to this other one that I was doing and picturing it as like a whole painting together. It feels really connected, feels really like vibrant and playful. I like the white background just for the sense that the colors can be really vibrant, but then I'm going to have to problem solve. Let's see if I can, like these moments. I'm going to have to problem solve like some of these like hills and things because I have layers of hills on top of each other. So that's kind of like the next problem that I'm going to have to kind of like sort out. But I hope that was really fun. That was fun for me. Angelica says, yes, please post in Patreon. I got locked out of Discord and then I've been emailing them and won't be able to get back in for 2 weeks. What a nightmare. I'm sorry, Angelica. Yeah, I'll post in Patreon so you can see those things. Let's see. I'll announce the next book club date, and I'll also announce the next live date, which won't be next week, but the week after. And then we'll try and do one, like our second one for the month of December, like around the holidays. I feel like the holidays just feel really lonely and isolating. It is nice to not be stressed doing like turkey or like a big meal with like 30 people or something, which is what we did last year. But it does feel a little bit lonely. So I want to have things for us to all kind of like look forward to. And if you didn't make it to book club, definitely check out the recording. I think me and all of the people who were there would just be so excited to hear your thoughts. Let's see. Patty says, super fun hanging out, Lindsay. Have a good weekend. Angelica, yeah, you too, Patty. Angelica says, at least I hacked a way to access this video today from my phone. And then Kelly says, this was fun hanging out. Awesome. Well, you all are the best. I really appreciate you. Like truly, truly from the bottom of my heart. Like it's been so cool to kind of try and find ways to engage more deeply about creative practice with each of you. And if there's anything that you want to see or you would like me to do, just shoot me a DM or an email and we can chat it out because I want this to feel exciting and fun for each of you. Dawn said, this was great. Love seeing your process. Awesome. And Claudia says, thanks for this. It was fun. Candace says, have a good one, everyone. Love these sessions. All right. You guys are the best. And I will, I'll see you later on. I'll announce all of those future dates. So in the meantime, grab a glass of water, enjoy the weekend, maybe get outside, and I'll talk to you later. Let's see. There we go. End stream.